Today we're going to be checking out the WS-100 wireless instrument system from Lekato. Good afternoon, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well out there. If you're new here, hi, I'm Miles. I do music stuff. And if I'm looking kind of clammy or I sound kind of weird, it's because I'm a little under the weather right now, but it's okay, I'm fine. Let's just carry on. So as I said in the intro, we're going to be checking out this wireless system from the company Lekato. If you've been here a while, you've seen me do demos from them before, and their products have always been good in my opinion. So let's learn some more about this and see what's going on here. Now, obviously, as a wireless system, it offers you the freedom to be able to walk away freely from your amplifier and not worry about getting caught up on cables, whether they be wrapped around your foot on the floor, or you just have one that's too short to walk a far distance from your amplifier. But in addition to that, what this system has that the other ones do not is that this model in particular comes with its own carrying case that not only carries the receiver and the transmitter, but also will charge it while it's inside. As far as the details associated with this system, you're dealing with a 2.4 gigahertz wireless transmission with a 24-bit to 48 kilohertz sample rate. And at the farthest distance between the transmitter and the receiver, you get about 6.7 milliseconds of latency, which is really like nothing. It's also worth noting that the farther distance you put between yourself as the player of an instrument and the amplification system that you have, in this case guitar to amplifier, there's going to be a bigger perceived latency as far as the sound that you're getting from the amplifier. There's a longer distance for the sound from the amplifier to travel in order to get to your ear. So that latency thing really is something that's inherent no matter what. The actual range of distance is 30 meters or about 98 feet in an uninterrupted area or outside. And it drops to 15 meters or 49 feet when there's a wall between the transmitter and the receiver. The input jacks on both the receiver and the transmitter can be unscrewed from a 1/4-inch jack to present a 3.5 millimeter jack that you can plug into an auxiliary input like you would for headphones or something like that. And so that gives you a little bit more flexibility and options in terms of the instrumentation that you can utilize with this wireless system. And if you're in a band that has 2 guitar players and a bass player and you all want to go out and get this wireless system, you can all use these at the same time without having to worry about any interference between the different units. Now already the battery on the transmitter and the receiver will last for 6 hours apiece on full charge. But let's say you're running low on battery, you throw these both into the case and it will charge it up to a full charge, which essentially gives you a total of 18 hours worth of time that you can utilize the units for. And the case itself gets charged with an included USB-C cable. Additionally, you can pair 4 transmitters to 1 receiver. So if you have multiple instruments that you're using in one set, like you have 4 guitars that you want to use for one show, you can have 4 transmitters just plugged into those individual 4 guitars, ready to go. Now initially when I got these in the mail from Lekato, I was actually in the process of getting myself together to go head out the door to go play a gig with one of my bands. We were going to go play at Defiant Brewery in Pearl River, New York. And the room where the stage is very open. It's very big. There's no sort of padding on the walls. It's all brick. And then that's attached to the hallway that makes up the rest of the brewery, where it is again brick walls. And then you have metal silos for all of their delicious beer. And so with all that in mind, I decided to grab these and just toss them in my bag on the way out, just so that I had something that I could use to kind of walk around and get a good sense of how I should tweak my amp in terms of my settings and just the overall levels of everyone else in the group, just so that we weren't like blowing everyone's faces off as soon as we started playing. And as far as distance that I was able to put between the transmitter and the receiver, I didn't run into any sort of issues as far as signal drop going and walking around trying to get a good idea of what everything sounded like. I was able to walk pretty far from the stage almost to the bar. I didn't go that far because there's like tables and chairs there and stuff, and I figured I could just get a general idea of what everything sounded like if I was just like a little bit further back than right in front of the stage. However, if you've never been to Defiant or seen bands there or been in that room in general, this isn't a very good point of reference for you. In which case, if you ever find yourself in Pearl River, New York, I highly recommend you go and check out Defiant. The beers are good, but also their food is amazing. So if you like barbecue and you like beers, I highly recommend it. And it's kid friendly, so that's a whole other thing. But yeah, highly recommend. But with all that said, I figured it would be more helpful if I did some actual tests utilizing the transmitter and the receiver in an indoor capacity as well as an outdoor capacity. So here's those tests. Check it out. Alright, you guys have an important job. When I get too far away, you say, I can't hear you. Okay?
Okay.
Let's see. You guys ready? Okay. So in regards to my overall findings, one of the more significant things that stood out to me is that once you're out of range, as far as the distance between the transmitter and the receiver, it drops out. Like, you have no sound. There's no crackle, there's no slight degradation in your sound to eventually fizzle out to nothing. It is gone. It's like having satellite radio in your car and going through a tunnel. It's gone. And while that's something to keep in mind, 30 meters of distance is a decent amount of space to have between the transmitter and the receiver and still have a clear sound coming through. I don't think there's going to be any instance where you're going to be holding your guitar plugged into an amplifier with a wireless and you're running a 100-meter dash. I just don't see that being a thing. I don't know. The internet's a strange place. It could be. But yeah, in most cases, I don't think people are going to be doing that. In addition to that, the other thing that I had noticed while I was just testing these out while I was outside, and you might have heard it from the actual video itself, but slight movements just from like walking and stuff like that would cause little dips in my signal to happen. And admittedly, it might have just been that I didn't have the input jack screwed on tightly enough. And the receiver and the transmitter have the ability to rotate a decent amount. However, for me with my lefty Strat, it's still not quite perfect. Not without it sitting like this. And so there's a lot of room for it to wiggle around. So admittedly, this is something that could just be an error on my part. The error being that I was born left-handed, but that's a whole other story. I think had I done the testing with my Tele or with a Les Paul or something that has an input jack that's on the side of the body of the guitar, I wouldn't run into this issue as much. So, it's just something to consider. I think that I'm sort of in a niche category, but still, something to keep in mind. Really, aside from those two things, I don't have any real critical notes in regards to this wireless system. Compared to what my guitar sounded like being plugged in direct with a cable versus the sound that I was getting from the transmitter and the receiver, I didn't notice any tonal difference there. And for $50, you really can't go wrong with this because it comes with the charging case. And this will serve you well if you're playing a house party, a medium-sized gig, or you just don't want to be tethered to your amp by a cable. Would I trust it in a touring band capacity? Probably not. And that's mostly because the housing for both the receiver and the transmitter is plastic. Like, all you need is someone to bump into you while you're playing. And I can see this thing splitting in half or just falling apart while you're on stage. And if you put all your trust into a wireless, which I've done in the past, you don't bring any cables with you, now you're stuck. So I wouldn't recommend it for that application. But as far as recreational use and moderate gigging scenarios, I don't see how you could go wrong with this system. If you're in the market for an inexpensive wireless system, I'd highly recommend the WS-100 from Lekato. And if you're interested in trying to find out more information about it, I will leave a link down below in the description to Lekato's Amazon website where you can check out not only this system, but Lekato's vast array of different products as well. And with all that said, that's all I have for you guys for today. Big thank you to Lekato for making this video possible. Once again, I appreciate you believing in me and valuing my opinion. It's greatly appreciated. And for the rest of you out there, I hope that you found this video to be both interesting and informative, and if so, and you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It helps make these videos more visible to more people and helps spread the word of my channel overall. So, help me out. I'd appreciate it. And if you would like to support the channel other than just liking and subscribing, I'll leave a link down below in the description to my Patreon page, and there you can check out all the perks that'll be attached to your support over there. But with all that said, that's all I have for you guys for now. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see you in the next one. Keep playing. Peace.